What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with my hands-on and first impressions video of the Samsung Galaxy A32 4G. Now, very recently, Samsung revealed two new devices. This one, the A32 4G, and then also the A32 5G, which I have right here. Now, I will be doing a full comparison between these two phones in a separate video. However, you might think, based off the names of the devices, that the only difference from the A32 4G to the A32 5G is that you're just getting 5G. But the reality is that there's actually a bunch of different things that are different about these two devices, and they're not nearly as similar as the names might imply. So moving forward, I will be treating these two phones as completely different devices, especially considering that we are getting completely different processors, we're getting different display technologies, we're also getting an in-display fingerprint sensor with the A32 4G versus having one on the power button for the A32 5G. So I think you understand where I'm coming from with this. I just want to make it clear that there are many differences between these two phones. Now, to learn more about the most up-to-date pricing for this device, definitely take a look at the links in the video description, as I'm sure that will be changing as time goes on. Now, before I really get into things here with the phone, let me first show you what all comes included in the box. So I did get this phone in the awesome white color. It is also offered in awesome blue, awesome violet, and awesome black. So I do like that they do give us a variety of different options, but I do think in general it's a really nice looking phone. Here is the box that it does come in. You can see Galaxy A32. Then we also have a picture of the phone itself up front here. Now opening this up, you can see that we do have a packet within the box. We'll put that off to the side for a second, but you can see in the box itself, we do have a USB-C cable for charging and data transfer. We also have a SIM card removal tool. And then finally, we do have an adaptive fast charger. Now, in case you're curious, this adaptive fast charger is a 15-watt charger, and the phone itself does max out at accommodating 15-watt chargers. And then in that packet, we do get a quick start guide here. Now, with the Samsung Galaxy A32 4G, we're getting a 6.4-inch display. Now, this display does feature Super AMOLED technology, and it is a 90 Hz display. So we are getting a slightly faster refresh rate compared to both the A32 5G and also many other devices out there too, such as the iPhone 12, that do run at 60 Hz. Now, if you're not aware what that means, essentially the frame rate of when you're moving around the phone is a bit faster, and it just gives you kind of a more polished, smooth experience. And for most people out there, you might not notice the difference completely. Now, the display itself is 1080p. We're getting a PPI of 411. We're getting a 20:9 aspect ratio, so a more narrow but taller form factor. And we're getting an 84.6% screen to body ratio. So we do have a little bit of a thicker bottom bezel, and then we do have a notch up top here. But in general, I feel like the phone does have a pretty slim and efficient form factor. Now up top here in this notch, we are getting a 20 megapixel front-facing camera. Now stay tuned for the full review of this phone, as I'll be showing you a variety of different photo and video samples from it. Now with this variant of the Samsung Galaxy A32 4G, we're getting 128 gigabytes of internal storage, and then we're also getting 4 gigabytes of RAM. So I definitely like that we are getting this much storage, especially nowadays as apps seem to be getting bigger and bigger and taking up more and more space. And then having that extra space especially comes in handy if you do want to save videos for offline viewing. Now, since getting this phone, I have installed a variety of my own applications, and between that, the pre-installed software, and then also the pre-installed applications, you can see that 22% of the internal storage has been used. So that's not too bad, but hopefully this does give you a good idea of the benefits of having so much internal storage. And then again, this phone does support microSD card expansion, so you do have the ability to expand that storage even beyond what we're getting here by default. Now with the Samsung Galaxy A32 4G, we do get an in-display fingerprint sensor. So it does work decently well. It's not quite as fast as what you'd get with the S21, for example, but for kind of a lower end A-series phone, this is completely adequate, and I'm glad that we do get this feature. And in addition to having a fingerprint sensor, this phone also supports facial recognition. So I do like that we do get multiple methods to getting into the phone. Now on the back side of the device, we're getting a quad camera setup. We're getting a 64 megapixel main camera, an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera. We're getting a 5 megapixel depth sensing camera and a 5 megapixel macro camera for close-up images. Samsung has taken kind of a different approach when it comes to the rear camera setup here, as we do have individual circles for each camera module in addition to the actual flash itself. In general, I think it looks pretty cool, but more importantly, I'm more concerned about the actual photo and video quality. Now here's how things look through the camera app on the phone. This is with the main camera right now. Then from here, we can easily switch over to the ultra wide angle camera to fit a lot more content into the frame. So definitely they're useful, especially if you want to take photos and videos outside, as you are able to fit a lot more of your surroundings into your pictures. We can also go over to portrait to get those nice blurred out backgrounds that I know that everybody's a big fan of. We can also use portrait mode for the front facing camera as well, as you can see right here. Or we can switch over to just taking standard photos. And we also have the ability to crop out a bit for group selfies. So that's pretty awesome too. Then from here, we can also go over to the More tab, and there's a bunch of different options, but we also have the macro camera. And then with that, we can get very close up here to get nice, crisp and clear images. So I do like that we do get quite a few different cameras on this phone, giving us plenty of different options when it comes to taking photos and videos. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, this phone does have 4 GB of RAM, at least this variant of it, and this device features the MediaTek Helio G80 processor. Now, I did run a Geekbench 5 benchmark test here with the phone, and here are the scores that I got. So I got a single core score of 347 and a multi-core score of 1308. But what I recommend doing is running the Geekbench 5 benchmark test on your current phone and then compare your scores to these scores to get a better idea of whether or not this phone is going to be a performance upgrade for you. Now, video recording with the Galaxy A32 4G maxes out at 1080p at 30 FPS with both the rear and front cameras. Now, the A32 5G does support 4K video recording, so it is a bit unfortunate that we don't get 4K video recording with the 4G variant of the phone. Now with this device, we're getting a very large battery at 5,000 milliamp hours, and as mentioned earlier in the video, this phone does support 15-watt fast charging. Now the software on here is Android 11, running Samsung's One UI 3.0. In general, if you've used other Samsung phones in the past, then the experience here definitely will be very familiar, but in general, I actually don't mind Samsung's One UI overlay, as it does give us quite a few extra features, which we will be going over in further detail in the dedicated Galaxy A32 4G tips and tricks video. Now this variant of the phone does come with NFC. Now if you do end up getting the A32 4G, I do recommend double checking, because I'm not sure if every variant of this phone does come with NFC. But if you're not familiar with NFC, that is the hardware technology that's built into phones to let you make contactless mobile payments. And you can use it with services such as Samsung Pay and then also Google Pay. But now that we've gone over the major specifications of the Samsung Galaxy A32 4G, let's now take a closer look at the hardware. So I already talked quite a bit about the front panel here, but in general, the phone has a really good looking display, but I am really glad that they did go with the 1080p AMOLED panel with this phone versus going with the same display that we got with the A32 5G. Because this display is definitely much better. But taking a look at the left side of the phone, we just have the slot for the microSD card and SIM card. Then on the right side of the device, we have the power button, volume down and volume up. Then up top here, we have the noise canceling microphone. And then on the bottom, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, microphone, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, and we have the speaker. And then on the back of the phone, again, a very minimalist design here, but we are getting the quad camera setup, the flash, and then the Samsung logo. So in general, a very practically designed device. There's nothing overly exciting or new that we're getting with it, but on the other hand, I always do appreciate phones that don't really have any gimmicks. But this is my hands-on and first impressions video with the Samsung Galaxy A32 4G. But I hope you enjoyed this video. This is Kevin here, and I will see you in the next one.